Hello, my name is Carrie Brown and I'm with the Central Mississippi Regional Library System. Today I'm going to be reading to you chapters 5 and 6 of Magic Treehouse, Sunset of the Sabertooth, written by Mary Pope Osbourne. Chapter 5, Snow Tracks. "Wow, what is this place?" said Jack. "Maybe it's an art gallery," said Annie. "I don't think so," said Jack. "It's too hard to get to." He read about the cave paintings. These Ice Age beasts were painted 25,000 years ago. Cro-Magnons painted pictures of animals they hunted. They may have believed the paintings would give them power over the animals. "Wow, look at this," said Annie. She pointed at a painting farther down the wall. It showed a figure with human arms and legs, reindeer antlers, and an owl face. It seemed to be holding a flute. Jack looked at the book again. He found a picture of the figure and read, "Cavemen may have been led by a sorcerer or a master of the animals. He may have worn reindeer antlers so he could run like a reindeer, and an owl mask so he could see like an owl." "What is it?" said Annie. "The master of the animals," said Jack. "He's a sorcerer." "Oh, wow," breathed Annie. "That's it." "That's what?" "That's who we have to find." "Why?" "Maybe he's a friend of Morgan's," said Annie. Jack nodded slowly. "Maybe," he said. "Let's go find him," said Annie. They went back through the tunnel to the first cave. "We better put our lamps back," said Jack. He and Annie blew out their lamps. They placed them back by the fire. Jack's backpack was on the floor next to the skins. He put the Ice Age book into it. "How's Peanut?" said Annie. Jack looked into his pack. "She's not here," he said. "Oh, no!" cried Annie. "She must have crawled out when we were looking at the paintings." "Peanut!" Jack called. "Peanut!" called Annie. Annie walked slowly around the cave, looking into the shadows. Jack peered around the fire and under each of the furry skins. "Jack, come here!" said Annie. She was standing near the entrance to the cave. The snow had stopped falling. In the snow were tiny tracks. Chapter 6, Song on the Wind. "Peanut's tracks," said Annie. "We have to find her before she freezes." She wrapped her reindeer coat around her and headed across the snow. Jack pulled on his backpack and followed. The mouse's tracks led them between the fallen rocks and back onto the open plain. The wind blew harder. Snow swirled over the ground, covering the tiny footprints. "I can't see them anymore," wailed Annie. She and Jack now stood in the middle of the plain. They stared at the windswept snow. The mouse's tracks had vanished. "Yikes!" whispered Annie, staring up. Jack followed her gaze. On one of the cliffs was a tiger, a giant tiger with two long, sharp fangs. "A Sabertooth," said Jack. "I hope he doesn't see us," whispered Annie. "Me too," Jack whispered back. "We better head back to the treehouse." Jack and Annie stepped very softly across the snow. Then Jack glanced back at the cliff. The Sabertooth was gone. "Oh, man," he said. "Where is he?" "Run to the trees," said Annie. He and Annie started running. They ran over the snowy plain, heading toward the tall, bare trees in the distance. Suddenly, Jack heard a crack. The ground caved in, and Jack went with it. Annie fell beside him. They crashed down onto a heap of branches, snow, and earth. They struggled to stand. Jack pushed his glasses into place. "You all right?" he asked Annie. "Yes," she said. They both looked up. They were in a deep hole. All Jack could see were gray clouds moving overhead. "This is a trap," Jack said. "The Cro-Magnons must have put branches over this hole. Then the snow hid the branches so we couldn't see them." "There's no way out," said Annie. She was right. They were helpless. The pit was too deep to climb out of. "I feel like a trapped animal," Annie said. "Me too," said Jack. He heard a yowl in the distance. "The Sabertooth," whispered Annie. Jack pulled out the Ice Age book. He found a picture of the Sabertooth. He read, "The Sabertooth was the fiercest beast of the Ice Age. It attacked humans as well as woolly mammoths and other large animals." "Oh, brother," said Jack. "Listen!" Annie grabbed him. "What?" Jack jumped. "I hear music." Jack listened, but all he heard was the wind. "You hear it?" said Annie. "No," said Jack. Listen carefully. He closed his eyes. He listened very carefully. He heard the wind, but this time he heard another sound too. Strange, haunting music. Ah! Cried Annie. Jack opened his eyes. Staring down at them was a figure wearing reindeer antlers and an owl mask. The sorcerer, whispered Jack. Squeak! Peanut peered down at them too. Thank you. Be sure to tune in next week for chapters 7 and 8. Goodbye.